4 million people in South Sudan are likely to face critical food shortages next month, according to warnings from Britain's biggest aid agencies. The Disasters Emergency Committee says that food reserves will run out in August. Ethnic violence has claimed thousands of lives after the country's president sacked his deputy. Well, fighting between different factions of South Sudan's ruling party has forced more than 1 million people out of their homes since December. The British group, the Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, says that meagre reserves of food will run out in August, but it adds that the cost of mounting an appeal to pay for aid might outweigh donations. South Sudan's president says if the conflict isn't resolved, the civilian population is going to face one of the worst famines there's ever been. Well, we can talk now to David Bainbridge, the International Director of the charity Tear Fund, a member of the Disasters Emergency Committee. Thanks very much for joining us. So some interesting things to talk through there. I mean, first of all, that stark warning that it could potentially be one of the worst famines ever in prospect.
Yes, so we run feeding centres in some of the worst affected areas of South Sudan, and what we found is a 300% increase in the number of malnourished children who've been admitted for emergency feeding. The number of children doubles every month. One illustration, a mother arrived in one of our centres last week with 5 children desperate for assistance. She had walked 60 miles from her home through territory that is highly contested, highly dangerous because of the conflict, and people are fleeing for their lives and in desperate need of food. That's just one illustration of just how serious things have become. And
this warning that food supplies might run out by August, but at the same time, the cost of mounting an appeal to pay for aid might actually outweigh the donations. What are the concerns on that?
So the issue here is that from Disaster Emergencies Committee's experience over many decades in launching public appeals in the UK, we know that there needs to be sustained awareness of the situation in the country, the humanitarian crisis, so that there is confidence that the public will respond positively to an appeal. And what we've observed in South Sudan, whilst there has been some excellent media coverage on and off in recent months, there hasn't been the sustained level of awareness, and this is the concern of the DEC at the moment. We need that awareness in order to be able to launch a public appeal.
Has it happened that there have been public appeals which have cost more than the actual aid that's come, the donations that have come forward as a result?
No, there haven't, and because the DEC is very careful to ensure that it only launches appeals when there is confidence that the public are engaged and want to be part of seeing the solution to end the suffering that's taken place.
I mean, obviously, as a result of what you're putting out today, there is, we're talking about it, we're putting out the pictures. Why do you think it is a story that isn't in the headlines as much as you'd like?
It's hard to know. I assume there are different priorities at any given time. Our concern is that the humanitarian situation has to be understood. From August onwards, parts of South Sudan will be facing famine. We will see images, as we saw in Somalia 3 years ago. None of us want to have to see that kind of harrowing image of starvation. And the issue is we can act now to prevent that. We can do more if there are resources available.
David Bainbridge, thank you very much.
Thank you.